Well, we've had a lovely long sit in quietness, so you're all nice and present. So, well, you know what we've been saying to you. Unless you ask a question, I'll just continue sitting here and say nothing. So who's going to start? First of all, I'll repeat that if you ask me a question starting, do I think, I'm immediately on my guard. And I'll try to avoid answering from that. Because really seriously, I don't trust my thoughts. And I'm neither anybody else's. The mind is a wobbly creature, normally, and I'm only too well aware how I can say something one day and contradict myself next day. You know, thoughts change, don't they? We're very variable, and depending on our latest experience or our latest whatever's gone into our minds, so we'll tend to come out with, I think this or that, and then we learn something else, and lo and behold, we change our mind, don't we? Or the mind changes. So, especially on these big questions, I'm a bit I'd rather not use the word I think. So, what can we refer to? Well, look at us all here. There are 13 of us here, gathered together, and well, perhaps it'll grow stronger as the meeting goes on, but when we all came out of the church this morning, there were 10 of us, I think, gathered on the church porch. And didn't we love each other? Wasn't love evident there? Without us saying anything or doing anything? Weren't we really in love? You know, I woke up depressed this morning, as I often do. Oh God, another day, how could I face it, you know? Nobody wants me. You know, the usual poor me syndrome. Don't think I don't get it too. And I sort of got better as I had my cup of tea and walked up outside, going to church. But you see, then we meditated, and I can tell you that after meditation, there was this amazing quality of love, which completely transcended all that poor me of a couple of hours previously. Are human relations important? Well, doesn't it seem important that we are gathered together? Have I brought it about? Not that I'm aware of. It's happened, hasn't it? Somehow. I'm blessed by it. Maybe some of you are too. I'm rather unlike you, Jude, brought up in a large family. I was brought up very isolated, and I led a very isolated first few years of my life. So I've never been very good with people. I've always felt a failure with people. And of course, to console myself, I found my comfort in going off and being alone. I felt unthreatened when I was alone. I'd go out in the fields, and I was always a country boy, so I had that. I always felt at home there, whereas I felt sort of on edge and not been uncomfortable with people. This confidence with people is something that's come very recently to me, really through my exposure, you know, on this public face, which was uncomfortable at first and bewildering, but I've got used to it. I'm beginning to enjoy it now. But it's taken me 80 years to be confident and familiar with people. Honestly, it has. To sit in front of a group like this and talk as confidently as I do about love, it's been a long, long process. See, other people have come to it very easily, like you maybe. Phil's a much more gregarious man than me. Phil's a bit sort of flummoxed when I say, that when I tell you how I was brought up. It just depends how we are. I've always wanted that connection. I've spent my whole life looking for love, dear. It's not that one doesn't want it, but some of us sort of go about it easier than others. Human relations is very much an in subject now, isn't it? Some of us just seem drawn more to solitude than others. Some of us seem able to be alone, others just can't. If they're not talking, they feel they don't exist. My sister's a bit like that. She really depends on social contact to keep her going. I can't be too specific, dear. The world is full of different people, isn't it? We're all different. But what I've discovered in old age, that there's nothing more wonderful than to share what I love with other people. Heart to heart, literally, isn't it? And the deeper that heart connection goes, the more meaningful it is. It's quite wonderful at its best. If I'd known this when I was a young man, then perhaps I knew it, but I wasn't able somehow to put it into practice. You were asking about Russia. Well, for those that don't know, I am half Russian, so I'm a misfit in this world, really. I'm a new immigrant, really, trying to fit in. I have been for most of my life. And when I went to Russia, I had this amazing experience of feeling I was among my own people. I belonged there, which I'd never known here in England. Extraordinary to say. And I was 55 when I first went to Russia. And that gave me great confidence, and gave me much more confidence in my own natural feelings and that, which I always thought was somehow wrong or somehow misunderstood in England. Misfit. In Russia I fitted naturally, effortlessly. Russia isn't half a country of ups and downs, the best and the worst, but I recognised all that, in my own character. So we've all got a story to tell about this, haven't we? Our own way. As a young man, this was my dream, really. I first read about hermits in the Himalayas. I thought, this was what I wanted to do. I've had a few times in caves too, being alone. Some of the happiest times of my life, actually, were in the desert. It's extraordinary. Gosh, talk about being taken out of this world. So, dear, a bit of everything. Life's a mixture, isn't it, of all sorts. I wouldn't say one's preferable or better than another, really. Who can tell, dear? I'll fall back on this marvellous saying, God knows and I do not, which gets us off the hook, doesn't it? Well, you see, think of these, come back to the Bible. Think of, so God so loved the world. You see, it's very important, isn't it? I didn't particularly love people because I didn't know how to. But I did love my farm. I loved animals. I'd have given my life for nature. Yes, I think to die for the love of the world is a very worthy thing to do. But is that for getting the world or for serving the world? That's the difference, isn't it? We come on to this great quality of pure or impure, you see. We can live selfishly or unselfishly. And there's all the difference in the world in that, isn't it? You can live to make, to get. We can live forgetting, in other words, forgetting the world, or we can live forgiving. You see. Different as chalk and cheese, isn't it? Forgetting what? Forgetting our higher duty to lose one's life and find it, you see. Because what is the basic impurity? It's that which separates us from our source, which is God, and creates this separate entity of mortality, duality. We're getting into big words now, so I hope you can follow me, which is really brings in this word sin. So is it worthy to withdraw? Well, when we meditate, what do? We withdraw, don't we, and discover. See, what did we discover in meditation this morning that then poured out in that love that we all felt on the church porch as we came out? Where did that come from? Was it our effort, or did we just sit there in meditation and somehow or other let go, so that this natural quality of love just came in? We created space for this to inspire us, to come into us, which then came out again. It's still here, isn't it? Without any effort, there is this natural, very easy, comfortable. I wouldn't even call it anything, it's just here, isn't it? You can feel it. Another verse from the Bible comes to mind, it is good. How does it go, Phil? One of the things you like to say, it's good to be together. No, good, brethren, to dwell together in unity. That's right, isn't it?
Behold how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell
together in unity. That's right. Very beautiful. It's absolutely true, isn't it? With God, all things are possible, dear. Right and wrong is down here, this world of duality. There's light and there's shade, you see. And consider the human condition. See, most of you are not thinking as much, but a few of us are getting grey-haired, looking towards the end. Mortality becomes ever more a factor to be considered, you see. And just think, why is it that we die? Why in this world of love, why do we die? It's not normally what love wants, is it? For the beloved to die and go away. So why does this God of love, which is what we refer to him, who is described as most merciful, why does he decree in his mercy, in his justice, that we should all die? Why? Why don't we live forever in this life? We're told that eternal life is in the next life, not this world. So maybe this world is only a preparatory world, a sort of school, a school for children who have erred, made a mistake. Maybe. Think it out for yourselves, my dear. Don't take what I say. Just consider life. Consider the worm on the church path. The life of a worm grass that grows and is cut down? Why does summer turn to winter? Why are we born as little children, grow, and then what happens to us? Back into the grave. Where will John Butler be in a few years? Where will all you lovely young people be? Well, dear, I can only answer you from my experience, really. I don't know. I don't know why my life has been as it has been, and I don't know why it is as it is now. I honestly just don't know. I don't know why I'm here and why my life has been as it has been. And God has certainly never had a quiet word with me, not that I'm aware of. I don't really know how to answer you, my dear, but when I do look back on my life, I can see that everything seems to have worked out for the best, which makes me think of another good saying from the Bible. Everything happens for the best, and then very, very important, everything happens for the best for those who love God. That's the important thing, isn't it? I think if and when we're lucky enough to get up into what I call the big country, like the sky, get up into, or even better than the sky, the world of spirit, the world of this presence, this all-enveloping presence. Once you begin to start looking at life from there, which is rather like looking at it from a bird's eye view, from rather like looking down from an aeroplane, you can then see that there's a pattern to things, a perfect pattern to things. I remember one of my early glimpses of that was looking down on, it was probably a bank holiday or something, the roads were crowded with traffic. I was in the Lake District, I remember, and had gone up a mountain there. I was looking down at the traffic in the valley, and there's nose-to-tail traffic. And from that height, of course, because when you're in it, you're just, you're going mad with frustration and road rage. But when you get up above, you can look down and see it as a perfectly ordered event. It makes all the difference, doesn't it? Your point of view. Literally your point of view. If you're looking from down here or there, from a worm's eye view or from an eagle's. So down here we say, oh, why is my life like this? Why can't I be like other people? But from up here you see that there's a pattern evolving. A lot of you I already know have had many ups and downs in your life. Unfortunately, we did a whole video, didn't we? It wasn't you filming, Phil. It was somebody else, and this big, I think the same white mug was sitting there, just right in the middle, wasn't it? Middle of my chest the whole time. Never thought about it. Oh well. Now at the very end of my life, it does become ever clearer to me that this, which I keep referring to as the beyond spirit, is wonderfully and very aptly described as the love of God, and that this is really the fundamental building block of creation, love. It's all love, you see. It's all love, which then gets, think of it almost like, think of how up there's the pure sky, and then you get the first clouds forming, and then the thicker clouds, and you get condensation there, water vapor, the rain falls down, the rain falls puddled, falls down, makes rivers and lakes, and these may freeze, so you get ice. So from the nothing, as it were, of space, which we cannot in any way analyze or describe, it comes down, it precipitates to crystallize into what we call matter. So really we are all, as it were, frozen pieces of spirit, frozen or crystallized into embodiment. And meditation, in a way, is a process of melting at its best, melting and, as it were, rediscovering the spirit. And then we come back into the world, and once again, in a way, it comes down and manifests as not only matter, but separate pieces of matter. So, somewhere deep in our whatever they call it, there is this, it's like a little magnet, which irresistibly is striving to go home again. Because we've somehow left the unity and fallen into separation, where of course we get all the problems of separation. You and me, like and dislike, good and bad, this and that, what's called duality. So instinctively, all creation is sort of, in a way you can see it in nature, can't you? In spring, when the sun, which you can think of as grace, the sun shines, and every little insect and seed responds, and so we get the blossoming of winter. Then the sun goes down, grace recedes, and it all dies out again. It's amazing, isn't it? Every little seed in the world will respond, won't it? Let alone you and me. So yes, it is extraordinary, really, how I often wondered about, nature red in tooth and claw. What is it that creates appetite or desire? What makes a lion kill a beautiful young antelope and eat it? Isn't it actually love? Think how when you love someone, you want to almost eat them up, don't you? You want to hold them tight and melt into them. Almost eat them. I mean, in a way, kissing is almost eating, isn't it? So, it's a funny thing, you can see almost everything in terms of love. What isn't, really? See, what is magnetism, really, or gravity, if not a power of love? Or conversely, evaporation, to a different sort of love. Yes, certainly. Getting drunk, singing bawdy songs, all this sort of thing. Yes, it's all love, really, isn't it? It's all trying to... I don't think anything isn't really love. I think it must depend what's in your own heart. When your own heart is full of love, you see love everywhere, don't you? You love everything. I don't think it's possible not to love, really, if you have a pure heart. They say, blessed is the pure in heart, for they shall see God, and I think that's true. Well, what I think, who am I to think that? The words of Jesus, but it is true, isn't it? It really is true, even in our sort of mini little attempts to put this into practice. Extraordinary how, when love is flowing, it just melts every problem, doesn't it? Answers every question, really.